I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now, what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
Oh, give me fucking truth, baby! Come on! Let's go!
How have I been this successful in life?
Welcome back, folks, for another edition of the MMA Analysis Podcast. All-Canadian show, again this week. The Kid Crew. No, they can't cut it anymore. They got under 9 girls soccer and under 7 t-ball and all the big sports, all the drawing crowds down there. And Wes is off getting ready to go to the lake. Long weekend coming up, the last one of the summer. I don't know if you've got anything planned, Shaun. I am heading up to the cottage as per usual. So should be a fun weekend. Should maybe catch a couple of fights. But that's pretty much the standard operating procedure, as we'll get to when we do our recap. But before that, how are you?
I'm doing well. Is it a holiday for our American friends on Monday?
Labor Day's got to be a holiday for everybody, right?
Is that American holidays?
Yeah. They spell it wrong, but I think it still counts as a holiday. But it seems like, the last holiday before they ship the old kidlets back off to school. And actually, they start school weird.
Some places they start in August, like early August.
Dumb.
Yeah.
That's some sort of communism, I think.
You are correct. It is Labor Day, spelled incorrectly, is the holiday for our American friends.
There you go. I'm a worldly man. I know things. I do not know how to make money betting on MMA. But we'll see. We'll see. Maybe that'll change. I think I was only down like a unit on the last card.
That's a win. That's a win for us these days.
So we'll see. We're keeping the slate real small on this weekend's card, because there are a lot of names that I do not recognize. I assume the same goes for you. This is the UFC's vision. You got to have these regional cards, and honestly, I'm fine with that. Draw them to the whatever arena they're going to in old Gay Paris. But don't expect me to care about all of the undercard stuff from guys I've never heard of.
Nope. I mean, we had 2 fights this upcoming weekend that just got created yesterday. I think it was yesterday. I don't know. Was it Monday?
It was just one fight, and then they split it into just because
2 new fights.
More French dudes or something. I don't know. Yeah. But either way, everybody wants to fight, so that's how you get these short notice bangers. I've got the AirPods back this week. Do I sound better?
You sound great. You sound great to me.
Wonderful. I love not having the cord. I feel more free.
Yeah. Especially if you're a hand talker.
I'm a little bit of a hand talker. I don't know. I do it more at work. Put people, especially now that it's all like Zoom calls, you gotta, animate a little bit. Keep people a little bit more interested. But I don't think I do it that much on the podcast, because I'm flipping back and forth between tabs and all that fun stuff.
Multitasking,
trying to figure out who the fuck these people are and what I'm gonna bet. What like, I can't do that before the show. I got to do it during the show.
On these levels of cards, no.
I feel bad for people that do the old tape study on stuff like this. Like, you really have nothing better to do with your time, I'd rather lose money and learn that way. Just turn it into a whole learning experience. Then waste a bunch of time and make a little bit of money, because that's really like losing money.
Yeah,
because my time's valuable. Got one of these real jobs, not my sitting in my parents' basement kind of job. So I know same goes for you. You're always out there.
Hey,
a
job's a job.
line.
Come on, respect the hustle. Respect the MMA tout and Twitter All-Stars hustle. Come on
now. I'm not sure if there was much in the way of news, but I did see the hilarious news that Chris Weidman broke his leg in the Brad Tavares fight just before we came online. So
is that breaking news? He got it X-rayed and it's cracked?
Yep.
Amazing.
What a guy. So it's his left leg, and I'm pretty sure the one he like shattered, fully was his right leg. So just Mr. Weidman is on a roll.
Wheelchair bound in no time.
All the ligaments are good though. Ligaments are good. It's just the bones that are old and brittle at this point. But that was a couple weeks ago. We did have a card this weekend. Early card.
Very early.
Very early for you. I woke up. I forgot that it was on. By the time I flipped over to the fights, it was already the Giga fight. There was nothing prior to that I was really particularly interested in seeing. So I haven't seen any of it. So you're going to have to guide me through here if you watched some of this. But we're going to recap it lightning quick.
Yeah, let's do it.
Featherweight division, Sung Woo Choi, unanimous decision over Jarno Ahrens. JJ Aldrich, second round TKO, the old ground and pound over Na Liang. She finished somebody, Shaun.
I know, because we both bet her to not finish somebody.
So we were just talking a little bit before the show, trying to figure out what we were going to do for consensus. And just scrolling around, I noticed, I guess it would have been before fight day, somebody bet Victor had the over 1.5 at -150.
I saw that you played that, and I was too slow and just didn't want to add, because that was the play at a cheap price.
I lost on the over 2.5, but won the over 1.5. So Splitsville on that fight. We'll take it with the way we've been running. Yep. Billy Goff, TKO, some body work from old Billy Goff on Yusaka Shida.
Definitely more than kinda Shida. Definitely more than
that. This is the one where I should have made some money. Didn't. Song Kanan defeats Rolando Bedoya. Unanimous decision. We preach it.
We talk about it all the time.
Nobody ever impresses in a loss, Shaun. It's not a real thing. You should never be -300 coming off it. And I don't trust myself anymore. Didn't pull the trigger. I'm an idiot.
Both dum-dums, because we routinely talk about that on the podcast, and it's I feel like we just we bring it up, but we usually don't take advantage of it. And then look what happens.
That seems like one of the few edges that has been around for many, many years and doesn't seem to be going away anytime soon. So we probably should take advantage of it.
Definitely should.
But we're done. MMA KO, you are absolutely correct, people. I remember way back when I did the math on somebody's hourly rate, and then I was even kind and said if they were betting $1,000 a unit, that it came out to like, I don't know, $7 an hour that they were making. Just
hey, that's above minimum wage in some states in the U.S., isn't it?
In some third world countries.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else we got?
The Candyman came back. It got a little sketchy there.
Yeah, the Candy. You got me on that one. Didn't bet shitty in the end, but yeah, you got me on that one.
Just barely.
Candyman. What else do we got going on? Garrett Armfield, first round knockout over Toshiomi Kazama. No idea who that is still. Probably he was one of the Road to UFC guys.
Yeah, he got smoked in the final by Nakamura, and turns out he is that bad.
Fair enough. Waldo Cortez Acosta. I didn't think he had this in him either, but first round TKO. That's probably good in the long run. Maybe we'll get some decent fatties prices on him moving forward. Didn't have one here, but
100%.
First round TKO over Lucas.
Did you see this one? Did you see the highlights of this one? It was
not.
like,
should I?
It's worth looking up the meme, because basically when a heavyweight just nosedives into the ground unconscious and basically just decompresses their neck, it is something to see. Like he was running away. Cortez is just like punching him kind of in the back of the head, but just trying to chase him down, and he just nosedives into the ground. It's ref could have done a little bit of a better job on that one, but we get the meme instead. One. So yeah,
that is a classic when the edibles hit.
Yeah.
Did Wes tweet that one out?
I don't think he did. It was this was quite early in the morning for most people, so he was not hitting the edibles yet.
Was it? I'm trying to think of the Gracie that did it. Was it Roger Gracie? I think he's actually Roger Gracie because he's from like England or something like that. Back in the World Series of Fighting days, where he just like full on flare flop. Love those.
That does sound
especially
familiar.
From big guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of more big guys going down, fatties didn't come through. Porky Porker might be done at this point. Knocked out in 1:24 by Junior Taffa. Sad.
Just so willing to get punched in the face. Dude, your path to victory is to grind, and did not really try, and it was over before it started.
He's got those tree trunk legs. Just hold him up against the cage. That's all you got to do. Aaron Blanchfield, unanimous decision over Talia Santos.
Close fight?
Santos, still to it.
Talia. Yeah, it was a close fight. Odds were probably correct. It's, I don't know. There's still some holes in Blanchfield's game, but that cardio is a weapon.
So I'm just looking at the stats here. She was like 0 of a billion on takedowns, but had a whole bunch of control. Was it like top control, or was it just holding her against the cage control? Ugh, the worst.
Yeah.
Rinya Nakamura. This one I saw one highlight of, and it was where Bisping was like, yeah, Fernie Garcia fucking sucks at wrestling. That's why they matched him up with this guy. And Felder was like, whoa. UFC is trying to see if he closed up those gaps in his game. Thanks, Paul. Yeah, that's what they were doing.
Yeah, He's more of the company man, that's for sure. Bisping will let shit fly a little bit. But yeah, I had Nakamura sub. There was some chances there, but yeah, I couldn't put him away. I mean, you'd like to see a guy with some hype to be able to put that guy away, but what can you do?
Nothing
He's good.
doing.
He's pretty good, but
Is he?
until he fights somebody with some resistance, it's hard to say how good.
Is he like he's normally like he was a wrestler, right?
Yeah, like that's his upbringing.
He was like a Japanese wrestler or something like
Yes.
that, and he's one of those guys that just has a bunch of knockouts against shitty dudes on the regional circuit.
Yeah, just terrible guys.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, stuff that I saw. Giga, unanimous decision over Alex Caceres. As we said last week, if Caceres was just going to stand around on the outside, he was going to get kicked a lot. And he stood around on the outside, and he got kicked a lot. Volume-wise, it was close, but one guy very clearly landing the harder stuff. So,
Just zero even tried takedowns. Frustrating to watch. Yeah, Giga. It's probably not a bad fight for him. Coming off that layoff for him, I don't think he was too worried about getting finished or overwhelmed there. So I guess that was a good comeback fight for Giga. I still don't think he's that good, but I've also lost a lot of money fading him. So
the Keter one was beautiful, though.
yes,
We'll always have that.
Mm-hmm.
Co-main event. Anthony Smith, split decision over Ryan Spann. I think I was out with the dog watching this one on the phone. Split decision? Question mark?
I don't know. It was a close fight. It was a weird fight.
Like he almost died in the second round.
100%. That eye was absolutely annihilated. I guess good that they let him back out there because Spann just didn't want to finish that fight. So Anthony Smith will take it. If you're not going to take it away from him, he'll sometimes take it back.
I did have just like a dumb round robin that didn't cash. But one of the legs in it was that fight to go to a split at plus 1100. Yeah. So would have been nice if anything else in there cash.
Yeah,
but
of course not.
Nope, not the time. So
Dang.
Yeah, that's some weird, crazy numbers starting to pop up on these split decisions. Especially for fights that I guess are lined as 1.5s.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess this one was warranted, but both guys had their opportunities. Hurt the other guy a little bit, but still, that's kind of a crazy number.
Yep.
And finally, pretty much the main event that we were expecting it to be. Max Holloway beat up Korean Zombie, and then Korean Zombie got sick of getting beaten up like slowly, so then he just went and got beat up real quick at the start of the third round. It's
I mean, I kind of want to thank him for not putting us through like sad torture. Because the way it was going was going to be sad, prolonged torture. And he said, fuck it. Let's go zombie mode. And that chin has finally gone. I mean, it's been going, but yeah, I mean, it was always going to be a sad event. We really expected that. Zombie is still an awesome fighter. Really sucks that, we got those couple of years taken away in kind of his prime when he had to do the the military service because dude was a very, very fun fighter to watch. I will never forget him getting knocked out by Yair and losing me a bunch of money while I was with Wes and Trish and watching that amazing fight. So I will never forget that dude. But yeah, I don't know what you do with Max, but we can talk about that after.
He's in limbo for forever. Yeah. I mean, best thing he could have hoped for was Volk to win against Mac and Cheese and move up, because he's just not going to beat that dude. So he can be in fun fights. Go have a card in Hawaii. Let him headline that. I don't know. Yeah. What else do you do with him?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. He just beats everybody not named fucking Volkanovski.
Yep. That's
but you also don't want to match him up with like Topuria or something like that and ruin, a new matchup for Volkanovski. So what about Giga? Giga Chikadze.
There you go. Giga wouldn't have to worry about takedowns in that one either.
Yeah, that's the next ranked guy other than Topuria that's coming off a win. So that's cool with me.
Jeez. Yeah, featherweight, it just, I don't know. I guess it's not really old.
It's not old. It just feels like it's just kind of stagnating. Ortega never fights. Yair sometimes fights.
Allen never really. He fights like once a year.
Yeah, same with Allen. Emmett's getting demolished. So it's featherweight's fun when the fights actually happen, but unfortunately, there needs to be more of that happening.
Yeah, it feels like nobody, like there's 3 guys in the top 15 that have fought recently. I guess Volk fought somewhat recently, but I don't know. I kind of blocked that from memory because it wasn't a competitive fight heading in. And like you said, it feels like a division that's just kind of stuck right now.
Yep.
And sometimes that'll happen when you've got a dominant champion.
Dominant champ. Yep.
But in the past, these dominant champs used to stick around and keep beating guys in their division. And I guess he's kind of at that point where he's starting to have to recycle guys. Yep. But that's part of it too. A lot of dominant champs had to do that. So I don't know.
And I would not be surprised if like Volkanovski is going to be out for a bit because he had to have surgery. Depending how that how the Dubronx mac and cheese fights go, he might be moving up after this anyway and fighting the winner of that.
Fighting Dubronx? Yeah.
Yep.
Did you see recently Dubronx was like, I got a little carried away.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't fight to my potential in that one, which I think we all obviously know because he just fucking stood there and didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But hopefully we see the real Dubronx.
It's also trashing Costa. I don't know if you watched that one. He's talking shit about Costa. He thinks Costa's gonna get fucked up.
Paulo Costa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think Costa was talking some smack, not some smack, but I don't know, saying he's gonna get his ass whooped by mac and cheese or some shit like that. So
hey, sometimes a little drunk hits the bottle.
Yep.
It's in his character. A little too much red wine, 3 glasses instead of 2, and words come out. It really shouldn't. Anyway, that was it for last week's cards. Not a lot to take away from it. It was very, similar to this card. There was a decent main event. There was a lot of local flavor, and that's about it. So we'll switch over to good old UFC Paris. I believe this one's not even on TV here in Canada for us.
I mean, I got Fight Pass. It's on Fight Pass. It's not on TSN. Just like last week's card.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's I know our buddy Aaron tweets out that there's a handful of cards every year that aren't carried by TV. They're Fight Pass exclusives, but it seems like it's more than a handful this year. There seem like there have been a lot of them that have only been on Fight Pass.
Yeah, and I mean, it's usually the ones that are afternoon cards and stuff like that, because TSN isn't going to put that on when there's other things that they can show, like curling or something like that does actual numbers. But yeah, it feels like more than a couple, but don't matter to me. Not like it matters.
I mean, I don't have Fight Pass anymore, but I've got my trusty bootleg ESPN Plus.
Yep,
that works for me. So
that'll do.
Love it. Anyway, switching over to UFC Paris. It's in the Accor Arena, or Arena d'Accor, maybe, as they say en français. I'll try and spare the folks from too much of my linguistic stylings this evening. But we're kicking it off. Banger in the women's 140-pound catch weight. Not even a real division. Not even a catch weight that's surrounded by real divisions. Zara Fairn taking on Jacqueline Cavalcanti, who, don't let the name fool you. I know the Brazilian names are Portuguese and all that. This one, actually Portuguese. Do we know anything about her?
This is a terrible fight. I don't understand why Fairn is still in the UFC. She's 0-3. 145 doesn't really exist. We're taking this at 140, so I don't know if it's her that can't make 35 or what, but this is pointless. The other chick is beating up low-level fighters on the regional scene. It's a pretty wide number, but Fairn does suck.
Who's the... Oh, this is Zara Fairn... Toastmaster pick all day.
All day.
In this one. What do we got for totals?
Ugh.
Over 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5 at like minus 180.
Oh. I see Betway minus 133. Is that real?
Nope. That's wrong. It's minus 200. You're using the wrong site there, Bradley.
No, but I flipped over to Fight Odds because I check them both. Over 2.5 is like minus 120, minus 115, minus 120.
Am I drunk?
Yeah, probably. You're drinking that hard-hitting Bud Light,
I clicked
sir.
on the wrong fight because, of course, it's out of order on this fucking website. So yeah, you're right. Minus 115 on some shitty books and stuff like that. So that's pretty cheap for some terrible women's fight.
That if I'm probably not going to bet anything on this fight, but if I was going to bet anything on this fight, it's that it is going 12.5 minutes, because that's just kind of what happens in these kind of fights. Anyway, way too long on that. Moving up. Bantamweight division. Cleison Rodrigues. Sorry. I was switching over to French mode. Taking on Farid Basharat.
I get the number. Basharat seems like he's got some of the goods. I know he hasn't finished a guy, anybody in the UFC or on Contender Series, but that win against Blackshear in hindsight actually looks pretty damn good because Blackshear's looked good recently, even on the short notice fight last time. Rodrigues, I mean, everybody should do that to Shannon Ross that's in the UFC. So that first round knockout doesn't really do much for me. My pick is Basharat. I just think he's better all around, striking, wherever this goes. So I might put him in a parlay, but we'll see. Haven't locked that in yet.
Clayton's moving up to 135 for this as well. And I did not see him as a large flyweight.
Yeah.
So against a guy who's very comfortable getting some grappling going, I think this could be a long evening or whatever time it'll be over in Paris for him. So like Basharat, I don't know if I'm going to find something to parlay him with or bother with that. I think he gets a lot of takedowns and probably wins a decision. But that's even money. Don't really want to lay, or pay even money or lay a little bit of juice for a prop. So probably going to stay away from this one. But Basharat seems like one of the safer calls on the card. Switching over to the women's bantamweight division, Jocelyn Edwards taking on Nora Cornhole.
This might be worthy of tossing a couple bucks on the old split prop on this one. The Cornhole has never won by decision, but she's also fighting absolutely horrible chicks on the regional scene. This is her fourth fight of 2023. I'm picking Edwards, but I don't really care enough.
Nice, tight, even money fight. Jocelyn Edwards.
No Lieberger anymore.
What's that?
Her name used to be Jocelyn. It wasn't this Jocelyn Edwards Lieberger, and she just cut off the back end.
Jocelyn Lieberger was white to begin with.
You're right. It's Jocelyn Jones Lieberger.
Yeah, she was the one that her sister is like a porn star or something. So
right.
Very familiar.
Right.
I do the tape study that matters.
Dylan Ryder.
Yeah. What was that?
Dylan Ryder is who you speak of.
Yeah.
That's her sister.
See, I know things.
Jeez.
Do
some Googling.
She's never, very early in her career, she got armbarred in her second fight. Other than that, all of her losses by decision. Last couple fights, split decision. One of her losses, split decision. So she is one of those people that's just in close fights. And I mean, Nora Cornhole, she's never stepped up to the level of competition that she's going to be facing in Jocelyn Edwards. So I like where your head's at with this one. And apparently in her first fight, she lost to the very same Jacqueline Cavalcanti that we were just breaking down in such depth and eloquence earlier on this podcast. So I think that was her first fight. Maybe you can't hold that against her, but usually you can rack up a lot of early finishes in the lower level of women's MMA. So not a lot of stock to be put in those. Welterweight division, Anghe Loosa taking on McKee. It's always weird that they actually pronounce it as Rice.
It's not Reese.
Not Reese. He's from the Isles, and he is McKee.
Now, McKee obviously had a pretty rough run in his first trip to the UFC, but losing to the Hazmat and Morono is not terrible in hindsight. But it's the wins that he's gotten to get back into the UFC are pretty mediocre in my opinion. With the last one coming against Judo Jim.
Judo Jimmy Wallhead. That's a classic.
That is a classic. He is 39 years old at this point.
Only 39? Wow. I probably would have said like 44.
Right? Feels like a lot longer than that. Angelus seems to be decent. Throws volume, gets hit a bit. So I think I'll trust his power against Reese McKee.
Yeah. Probably the same. I mean, I guess McKee's wins haven't been too bad to get back to the UFC. Like Justin Burlinson had some hype. He was pretty good in Cage Warriors. Then got absolutely obliterated on Contender Series as like a minus 400 favorite or some ridiculous number. Fading British dudes on Contender Series. That seems like a way to go these days.
Good angle.
But yeah, I think that Ange Loosa is solid. Like the type of guy that's going to stick around in the UFC for a few years, as long as he's still willing to fight for 20-20 or 18-18 or whatever he gets after picking up a couple wins. So I'll take him here. Relatively short price, but I'm not sure that it's the type of thing that I want to get invested in on a card like this. Maybe if I'm feeling desperate. Bantamweight division. This is one of the fights that was just made a day or two ago. We've got Loughran taking on, returning to the UFC, good old Taylor Lapilus. Double Impact. It's a Jean-Claude Van Damme classic. I hope that's where the nickname comes from.
That was the Rodman Van Damme special, was it not?
That is correct, yeah.
Well, I feel like that was a TBS movie or some shit like that would be randomly on that when growing up. Yeah, I don't know much about Loughran. Seems like a hyped up Irishman that's got a bunch of finishes. But maybe he is something. It seems like he doesn't train with Kavanaugh, so he's got one thing going for him. I don't know that for a fact. I'm just reading his association on SureDog, but Lapus is. Go ahead.
Team Cowbon, which is where like Darren Till, Aspinall. I'm trying to think of who else trained, but it's not Irish people that he trains with.
Yes.
He stays away from the potatoes.
Smart. He's made a good decision already for his career. Lapus is pretty good. It's weird when he just didn't fight for the UFC anymore after he beat Issa. He's got a good all-around game. I think it's going to be a good test. Wish we got a little bit better price on the hype train. But I think Lapus gets it done.
Yeah, he's always been solid, been around at basically UFC level for almost a decade, and for some reason it took him forever to get back. I know that he was one of those guys that wasn't particularly active over COVID, But since then, he's come back and put together some decent wins. Wilson Hayes, who that dude's got to be like 56 years old at this point, but apparently he's only 38, according to Tapology. That's a solid win, and then beat an undefeated dude in his last fight as well, who I think was like one of those South African EFC type of dudes, which, you know, those guys can be hit and miss, but Lapilus got him out of there in the first round. So he does what he's supposed to do. He only loses to very solid fighters. I guess like the Lavrentiev guy I've probably heard of because he's fought some Canadian dudes, so I'm a little bit more familiar with him. But yeah, I was hoping for a better number in this one, especially after seeing the big number that was on Loughran in his previous matchup. He was like minus 300 or higher than that probably, and just didn't quite get it. But the hype is pretty decent on the old Irishman, and the price came down from minus 270 to now it's sitting around minus 150. I think that was bet online, and that is just about tempting enough for me to hop in on Taylor Lapilus. This will be the old prospect loss for Loughran if he actually is a prospect, and if he's not, then he's just gonna lose anyway. So probably a little bet on Taylor Lapilus here. Featherweight division. This is the other half of the fight they've got booked right away. No,
I believe so.
That's coming up next. This one, Morgan Charriere is famous for being on like a reality show or something in France, or he's got like a YouTube channel. I don't know. He's popular for some reason in France. Pretty decent fighter as well. Cage Warriors champion. Usually you got to be pretty good to get up to that status. And he is taking on the veggie man, Manolo Zecchini, fresh from the Italian farms. You think, zucchinis are obviously, that's some Mediterranean fare right there. Probably has some olive trees in his backyard, just pumping out the oil. What do you think about Charriere and the Zecchini man?
Yeah, Charriere does look pretty decent. It's pretty wild to see that he's got 28 fights, and he's only 27 years old. I guess that'll happen when you start fighting, like just after you turn 18. It's crazy to see a guy that's 27 that his first fight was in 2014. that feels a long time ago, but so he probably does have a little more mileage than what a normal 27-year-old has. Guy he's fighting seems to be a pretty fraudulent Italian who I think benefited from some matchmaking going on in old Venator FC, trying to get the Italians some W's. So Charriere probably gets this dude out of there.
Are you calling into question his win over Marco Marinara?
Amazing.
Anyway, I agree. He's fought a lot of bad guys in a promotion that's generally been kind to him as far as matchmaking. And then on the couple occasions where he stepped up, whether it's been Cage Warriors or fought an actual dude in Venator, struggled. And Charriere's kind of got a funky striking game. I think that's probably going to be enough for him in this one. Sometimes he's just weird and makes fights way closer than they need to be, but usually that's against a much better caliber of fighter than I think he's seeing here in old Zecchini. Probably like just below Basharat as far as confidence on the old parlay scale goes. This is the other half of the stuff that got rebooked just yesterday. Trying to both French guys, some French on French crime here. William Takanori Gomis taking on Yanis Ghemmouri. Sounds like a delicious dip. Some Ghemmouri? Well, like a cousin of hummus.
Yeah, that seems about right. Yeah, I mean Gomis, he's got 2 wins in the UFC. They have not been very impressive, in my opinion. And in hindsight, the guys that he's beat, it's nothing too special. Guys fighting is another guy that I would have thought he would have fought a little bit better competition, considering he's 12-1. But the guys that he hasn't really got a step up yet, so this is probably a step up for him. I'll pick Gomis, but I don't care.
Not a lot of depth in the European scene outside of like Cage Warriors, KSW, those bigger promotions. So really tough to say where a guy like Ghemmouri's at. I don't have an opinion on this fight because I have blocked all of Gomis' fights from my memory, and I have never seen Ghemmouri fight. So if I watch this, I will learn something about these guys. If I don't watch it, I will continue to know nothing about either of these guys. So wonderful. I know something about half of this fight. The Volkan Oezdemir taking on the man who I best saw described by our buddy Magic as the orc from the Hobbit series, Bogdan Guskov.
Mix of that guy with Anthony Smith. That's what I'm feeling.
I see it. And that appears to be the Uzbek flag?
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. I wish I could share my screen to show that I'm just looking at like the main Tapology page, but
not the expanded one.
Yeah,
definitely haven't seen Guskov fight before. Looking at his record, I would say 90 to 95% of his wins are in round 1.
Fake.
He's only been.
He's got one of those fake records.
What's that?
Do you think he's got one of those fake records? It's gonna come out in 3 weeks after this fight that he's actually like 7-4.
Yeah, I don't know how up to up to snuff the old MMA series fighting organization or MPL. Those that's a crapshoot. Volkan for the most part has been fairly tough to finish unless you're very, very good. I think he probably survives here and gets this guy and who knows, maybe puts him away late in the second or early third if this guy just gasses out going for a win in the first. Still, I don't want to lay that kind of money on, for the most part, low-level heavyweights or light heavyweights.
I will have you know that the MPL, the Muradov Professional League, is owned by Mahmoud Muradov and almost certainly used as a money laundering front for either terrorists or Floyd Mayweather. Just
that's the only reason that he signed. That's the only reason Mayweather signed him.
Big old tax write-off for Floyd Mayweather through the Muradov Professional League, which I'm sure just brings in the big bucks. Haven't seen enough of Guskov. He seems like he's going to come out, brawl, probably fall off a cliff if he doesn't get the knockout in the first 3-4 minutes. But then you still have to deal with, will Oezdemir do anything in the fight? We're talking about the guy who, even when the Bear Jew wanted to pull guard on him for an entire fight, still was getting outstruck at times by the Bear Jew in that fight. So that's not great.
No.
What do we got for prices on this this Anthony Ork-Smith character, round 1 TKO? That's got to be the only path, right?
Yeah, him by TKO is like plus 200, plus 240. Him in round 1 is plus 500 in some places, and that makes his. Yeah, him in round 1 is like plus 550. So you might as well take just in round 1 500.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. That could be something in a round robin. That's not going to be a real bet. Certainly not a real bet, but little fun if I'm actually watching this, drinking a beer on the dock at the old cottage. The lightweight division, I've heard of both these guys. I've actually watched fights with both of these guys. It's crazy. Benoit Saint-Denis, the BSD himself, Big Strong Denis, taking on Thiago Moises.
I still don't think Benoit Saint-Denis is that good. He got slaughtered by Eliza Dushku. He's rattled 3 straight wins since then. For the most part, he's grappling in these fights. I think if he grapples with Moises, I think he's going to lose that battle. I think Moises is the better wrestler and probably has better jiu-jitsu. If it's on the feet, Moises is not amazing on the feet, so it is a bit concerning. I don't think Benoit Saint-Denis is amazing on the feet either. Dude can take a hellacious beating. That's what he's good at. I think Moises gets some takedowns and wins at least 2 of these rounds, if not snatching up a sub along the way. So I got a unit on Moises at plus 135.
Yeah, this is the one that I was alluding to earlier, where I actually have a bet on this fight that I've already placed, which is unusual for a Wednesday. I just kind of think people are going to come to their senses on this one and realize that Moises probably shouldn't be a dog here. Saint-Denis is certainly better than I expected him to be coming into the UFC, and seeing how that first fight went, that proved his toughness and that he has a little bit of cardio, but that was about it. And since then, as you said, he's rattled off 3 wins against guys who aren't great. I don't know if people are thinking that he beat the good Bonfim in his last fight, and they're just getting a bit confused here. But when you look at the list of guys that Moises has lost to, like, you got to be good to beat Thiago Moises. Joel Alvarez, Mac and Cheese, Ismagulov, Benny, and those have been his wins his losses since he came to the UFC. He hasn't had an easy route, and he's picked up some decent wins over his UFC tenure. So I think you're right. If Saint-Denis tries to grapple, as he usually does, he's going to run into some trouble. And honestly, I think I give Moises a little bit more credit as far as the striking goes than you do. Saint-Denis can take it. Seems like maybe he's got a little bit of power, but I don't think his striking is particularly good by any means. So kind of like Moises, no matter where this fight takes place. We've seen him get into, what was it, the 4th round or something against Mac and Cheese in a tough fight. So we know that the cardio is pretty good. He's fought 5 rounds back in LFA. So I'm not concerned about, a repeat of the Eliza Dushku fight where he puts it on him and gasses late. So 2 units. Thiago Moises plus 135. Consensus bet of the week. Thiago Moises. We'll do plus 135.
Yep.
There's a little bit higher out there, but I can only bet $6 at Gamby Books, so that doesn't really count.
Nope.
Which is weird. Like, how are they going to limit me, Shaun? I just lose. That's all I do.
Limited at like 4 of their books.
They are the worst, but I still use them every once in a while. Good to try and park some futures.
There you go.
That's some McDavid rocket, Cam rocket over there. There was actually one that came out recently. I think I shared it in one of our groups, but a plus 400 for the old Cam rocket. I don't know if that was somewhere that you could actually bet or not. But
I don't think it was, unfortunately. That's the way she goes.
Get your shit together, Alberta. Get regulated, but do a better job of it than Ontario did. And let Shaun bet. It's tax revenue for you. Look how much the man's lost this year.
Yeah, you could have had some of this, but no.
That's going to fund so many programs where you don't have to give money to poor people, which is the Alberta way. So
it is the Alberta way.
You can fund some more oil rigs or
that's what we're looking to do.
Co-main event time, Shaun. The one the people have been waiting for. Chud Rose Trauma Unit taking the man on fire. Just banger.
Yeah.
Rose moving up to 125.
That is correct.
Does that sway your breakdown at all?
It's part of it. I didn't think she seemed like that big of a 15-er, so I don't know why she's going to 25. She's also a head case. In the past, she's rebounded well from having head case fights. But that last performance was wild against the Cookie Monster. That was also over a year and a bit ago. I think Fiorot is just going to be the more active, more physical fighter. I don't think Rose is just going to be able to come in and grapple if she wants to. I think she's going to see that Fiorot is a decent 125er and get out muscled there and then get out volumed. So I'm looking at putting Fiorot in a small parlay, possibly with the Basharat.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing about the Esparza fight is that her and her team don't think they did anything wrong or didn't seem to think they needed to make any adjustments coming out of that fight, which is just blows my mind. Yeah, I don't know why this is happening on multiple fronts. I don't know why she's going up to 125. I guess they're trying to get her right into the title picture there, or give Fiorot a win over a notable opponent who isn't the Mook. Yeah, I kind of think that Rose could probably do all right if she stays at distance here. But if they get into a clinch, I think she's just going to get held up against the fence, muscled around. Don't think it's going to be particularly enjoyable to watch, but that could just be the fact that I sat through the last Rose fight and not a whole lot of desire to do something like that again. And against somebody who's going to be much bigger than her, that is a distinct possibility if she gets in and, you know, feels some power, feels some strength that she doesn't want to deal with. If there's somebody who's going to shut down in the middle of the fight, you're looking at candidate number 1 for it right here. So, Fiorot, not betting. Main event, heavyweight division. The premier wrestler in the UFC heavyweight division, Sergey Spivak, taking on very much not the premier wrestler in the UFC heavyweight division, the man who got out-wrestled by a one-legged Haganu, Cyril Gane. Is he going to be serially taken down in this one, Shaun?
I believe so. Of course, Captain hindsight, but if we go through the guys he fought in Gane fought leading up to, you know, the Haganu fight and then the Jones fight, he literally fought nobody with any sense of grappling. And this seems like a giant hole. And after the Ngannou fight, you are going to fight John Jones. And I don't know if there's much more motivation that you would need than fighting John Jones. And he literally looked like a day one wrestler against John Jones. I think in this fight, Spivak is going to take him down. He might get up, but I think Spivak is just going to keep tossing him down. He's got a variety of ways to take guys down. He doesn't rely just on a single way. So if Gane is trained that well and is able to defend it one way, I think Spivak is going to find another way to get him down. I don't know if he finishes him. I don't know Gane's cardios look pretty good for the most part, but that's usually when he's, you know, obviously winning fights. I think Spivak is going to look very good here, and then we're going to look back in hindsight and think that the John Jones win was not really that impressive for Jones, because Gane seems to be a guy that really has no real wrestling. So I like Spivak. I took him for 2 units at plus 150.
Interesting.
Why am I wrong, Brad? Why am I wrong?
So I'm just looking through, and, you know, you're talking about how Gane fought all these dudes that have absolutely no clue about grappling. And then I look over at the guys that Spivak's fought, and a lot of them are the same guys that don't have any clue about grappling. So I'm going to read you a quick list of numbers. You tell me if you can decipher what these numbers are. 52, 56, 64. Ooh, that's a good one. 20, 72, and 52. Those are the takedown defense percentages of all the guys Sergey Spivak has fought and taken down more than one time. Derek Lewis, Augusto Sakai, Greg Hardy, Jared Bandera Bread, the Brazilian Diaz, Carlos Felipe, and Tai Tuivasa. Not exactly the Penn State wrestling room as far as the heavyweight division goes.
Yes.
I don't like Gane's grappling look absolutely fucking awful against Jones. I think that's pretty much every heavyweight, though. Like, he's just way better than the rest of the dudes in this division. And I say that as somebody that bet Gane in that fight.
Me too.
I just think that the grappling is passable for the heavyweight division, but he's got some massive physical advantages in this fight. If Spivak doesn't get in on clean shots, which he usually doesn't because he's not a very good wrestler, he just sort of gets a hold of guys and hangs on them and drags them down to the mat. I don't think that physically he can necessarily do that against Gane. And honestly, he might not even get the chance because he's had a couple performances now where he's gotten cracked real good before he can even get in on a takedown. So I like Gane here. Not sure that I'm going to bet it, but maybe like, what was I saying before the podcast? Gane and
Basharat.
Lapilus.
Oh, Lapilus.
If I don't want to just play those dudes straight, maybe I'll throw them together, get some decent plus money. Stupid square shit. That is the hallmark of my 2023 betting year. But as I said, this is a very small card for me. It's basically going to be, if Thiago Moises wins, I will have a winning night. If he loses, I will have a losing night. But I just think that Spivak is effective in the heavyweight division with his style up to a certain point. And that point is guys that are actually capable athletes. And he is facing one here. So that's probably not going to go well for him. I think that Gane knocks him out, which is tough to say about Gane.
Yes.
Sometimes he doesn't like to do things, which that's what really, to me, makes this fight dangerous. If he stands around and just lets Spivak close the distance and, you know, they grapple in the clinch and that sort of stuff. But I think people kind of oversell how much the Hog was able to out-grapple Gane. He got a couple takedowns in a couple rounds late in that fight. And then it was more of Gane being kind of a bonehead in the fifth round that lost him that fight, because I think Gane actually got a takedown.
Yes.
Before he
dropped
that leg lock.
Leg lock. The more concerning thing in that, it's whatever the takedowns, but he just didn't do anything once he was down there. Hog just laid on him and did nothing.
Yeah.
That would be the only concern.
That is very true. So what's Spivak's never been 5 rounds, right?
No, this is his first main event.
So that'll be interesting to see how his cardio holds up as well, because I know that lately he's been getting guys out of there first, second round, just sort of wearing them down. I think even if he does get some takedowns against Gane, that probably not going to be able to accomplish a whole lot from top position, because Gane's, again, Jones fight aside, his defensive grappling is not horrible. So anyway, we're on opposite sides of this one. Worked out for you last week.
So I'm sure
you're
good to go this week.
Might be due. How much did you say you had on Spivak?
2 units.
Okay. Yeah, I hope it works out for you, because I'm not going to have that much on Gane if I do end up betting him.
Perfect.
We'll see.
So
anyway, I was hoping to keep this shorter than this, but
it's the way it goes.
It happens. It happens. We'll have to, when we get the others back on the show, we'll have to get a shot clock going for breakdowns. And I know I'm the biggest culprit when it comes to that, just because I'm trying to stall until I find something funny to say. Didn't happen so much this week, folks. I apologize for that. But we will return. What we're returning for? I'm sure there's another card next week.
Adesanya's paper.
Oh, it's like a real card.
But it's terrible.
Well, we'll be back.
For a pay-per-view.
It is a terrible. I saw that card the other day. We'll be back anyway for it.